Today on episode 21 of the Reaper Paranormal Show. Today, urban legends. Stay tuned. Thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Roy, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Tom. What do you say, Tom?
Nothing. What's going on, Roy? How are you today?
Living the dream. Exhausted. Long week at work.
It
comes. Beautiful day outside. And I'm indoors now recording a show.
Yeah, I was out most of the day, so that's pretty good. And then hopefully tomorrow's nice again. I'll be out tomorrow. I'm exhausted. Like you said, long week. Long.
Well, you know, you've been up here. How my dog is always running around.
Yep.
He is conked out right now because I've had him out. I take him out in spurts because he gets outside for too long. He gets a little carried away. So I took him out this morning. I took him out early afternoon. Then I took him out again mid-afternoon. And then I took him out twice before we started the show. And now he's just conked out. I'm talking about him. He's just waking up. I just stirred the giant. Oh, Jesus. But he's tired of the yawning. So he's in his own little world right now. But we're not here for that. We're here for urban legends.
Yeah.
You want to kick us off with this?
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking, just about some urban legends. So urban legends in the paranormal kind of go hand in hand. If anybody out there that's listening or watching, if you think back to almost all of the urban legends that or you're familiar with, there's usually 9 times out of 10 there's a paranormal aspect to these urban legends. Now a few of them maybe not, like the Pop Rocks and Coca-Cola one, or what with them dying and stuff. That's maybe not so, that's not really paranormal, but 9 out of 10 are. So we figured we'd talk about them. And then in the future, we'll do like a deeper dive on some of these, because some of these are really fascinating and a lot of fun. And so we'll do, take a lengthier look at some of them in future episodes. So the first ones I'll just kind of bring up are the black-eyed children. Now, I love this one because if you listen to our show, like my thoughts on like spooky children are like the spookiest things in the world, and like disembodied children's voices, stuff like that. Like stuff with children is inherently spooky to me in general. So these are these kids now that are often either seen hitchhiking or they said to like go by people's houses, and they if they go by your house, they'll knock on the door, ring the doorbell, and ask to use the phone, something like that. And I'm getting like little chills right now even talking about it, just because these little kids creep me out.
Kids are creepy.
Yes. And so if they not, they'll ask to use the phone to call their parents or whatever. And, it's not at first, but then after people are in their vicinity for a few, then they start to notice the weird things, that their eyes are completely black. Like from, their eyes, maybe a little white on just the outsides, but that's it. It's completely black. Usually have really pale skin and don't say much beyond, can we call you, we're going to call our parents, something like that. Again, they've also been seen, supposedly, or allegedly, been seen hitchhiking. And they are apparently, are very persistent on getting into your home. But then on the reports, they don't really do too much. They like one report, they asked to use the phone to call their parents. They said, they supposedly called their parents, and then I don't know how much time elapsed. They said, "Oh, they're here." The people looked up. The door was wide open. The kids were walking out the door. There were two strange men at the end of the driveway, and then they just kind of disappeared. So there's not too much to it. And it's a fairly newer one. It's only a lot of people classify it as like a creepypasta. The reports that said, there's been sightings since the 80s, but a deeper look into it, it looks like the first time this report of a black-eyed children had come out, any mention of it in any sort of publication or anything, was 1996. So I thought that was pretty cool too, since it's a fairly newer urban legend, and which I think is cool, because a lot of these urban legends that we'll touch on some of the other ones have been around for a really, really long time. But yeah, this is a fairly newer one, and yeah, that's not too much more to it. They don't. Nobody's reported really being hurt, as far as what I've read. Nobody's reported being hurt by them or anything like that. Any physical harm, just very, very creeped out by these kids.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Now, does it say where this takes place? Like any particular states this happens in?
Well, like the one incident I was talking about, it was from an elderly couple in New Hampshire. That was the one. There was supposedly sightings in Texas. I believe Abilene, Texas, there was one. Another report in Oregon. So pretty much all over.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah. Again, it's a newer one too. That sort of fascinates me. Just how like these stories become ingrained in the pop culture and stuff. And it's like I said, you got some of your older ones, and I know you're going to touch on one that's been around for a long time. But summer is like 1996. That wasn't that long ago. I was still in high school at that time. So
maybe with some of your friends.
Could have been. Would have been.
And they say most legends are based in reality of some sort. So it makes you wonder, like, where the reality, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of weird, But
yeah, I did hear too. Some people have speculated that they might be aliens, trying to, either assimilate or do whatever, trying to do some weird stuff. So there has been that, and I think a lot of that has come from sort of the idea, because they kind of show up out of your house out of the blue, out of nowhere, and that's sort of like the same report of a Men in Black. The Men in Black, they kind of just show up, and and then upon further inspection, when people are talking to them, then they start noticing that the Man in Black looks different and not quite fully human or whatever. So so maybe that's where the alien tie-in came from. Kind of makes sense to me.
Well, my first story has nothing to do with aliens. It's the famous, everyone knows this one, Bloody Mary.
Yes.
Which is, she's conjured by speaking to the mirror, saying Bloody Mary 3 times. Everyone knows the story. And I can remember as a kid, we were, I was at my friend's house, sleeping over his house, and we were talking about Bloody Mary, and we got one of his sisters to say it 3 times in the mirror to see what would happen. And we're in his room, and then she comes in, she's like, I did Bloody Mary 3 times. So we scared her half to death by telling her, oh, she's going to come for you now. She's going to take you away. So the whole night, she made us stay up with her all night long because she was afraid to go to sleep because Bloody Mary was coming for her. Mm-hmm. We're like, she didn't come into the mirror and grab you? Oh, that means she's really pissed. She's going to come for you later. And she's going to be really mad when she comes. So we had her freaking out. And everyone I know has done the whole Bloody Mary thing. Now, has anything ever happened? I've never heard anything happen to anybody that I know of, but other people have claimed they see the figure in the mirror, blah, blah, blah. But, it's a creepy story passed down from generation to generation for years. It's a classic. It'll never go away. I'm sure you probably did it, Tom, didn't you?
Oh my god, I'm thinking of a incident. So I have a really big family. Like my father has a bunch of brothers and sisters. Like I think he's number 4 of 9 or something like that. And then so I have like 50 something first cousins on his side. And I remember, every year I would go to grandmother's for like the major holidays, Christmas and the others and stuff. And I remember one time with some of my cousins, and most of them are girls too, which is really weird. There's like out of like the 50 son first cousins, it's like there's 4 boys, me, my brother, and 2 others or something like that. The rest are all girls. So, but I remember us going into one of the bathrooms, and I didn't see nothing, but my cousins got freaked out. So they did the whole Bloody Mary in the bathroom in the mirror, and I don't know if one saw something or whatever and scared the rest, or if they all kind of saw something, because I was really young at this time, but they ended up running out of that bathroom so fast. Yeah, this is a oldie but a goodie. I always like the Bloody Mary one. It's really fun.
Bloody Mary is pretty awesome. Everyone knows the story.
Yeah,
and everyone loves the story. It's a great classic. Great for teasing people and scaring the crap out of people.
Yes, it's yeah.
So what you got next?
So the Bunny Man. Now this one's kind of cool too. It's been around for a little while, probably since it's about the 70s. This one, and it's about essentially the urban legend is it's a person dressed in a full-size bunny costume that attacks people with an axe or hatchet. That's pretty much what the legend boils down to. And it supposedly originated from 2 instances that supposedly happened near Clifton, Virginia, where supposedly near this railway overpass in that area, somebody dressed in a bunny costume attacked people, and it supposedly happened twice within like a year time frame or something like that. So that's where it originated from. I've never seen actual like police reports if that really did happen, but supposedly that's the story, that's where it came from. But yeah, people go to the overpass that has supposedly happened near at least once a year around Easter time, but other times too around Halloween and stuff, trying to catch a sight of it. Supposedly, people have claimed that they've seen stuff in the years since, and sometimes is accompanied with a bright light, and then somebody coming out of it, basically materializing out of nowhere and then chasing people around with a hatchet or axe.
Nice.
So, yeah,
a bunny killing people. That's awesome.
Yeah. I like the story of the bunny costume. It makes me think of like Donnie Darko, where that bunny was really creepy. I like creepy stuff, so I like that one.
There's also a horror movie about a killer bunny. I can't remember. It's a really low budget horror movie.
Yeah, I think I've seen it actually.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, we should think of that.
So, had you ever heard of this urban legend, Roy?
I haven't actually. I have not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I actually have heard. I even heard a podcast on it. One of the podcasts I did, they did like 4 weeks of just urban legends, and that was one of the ones they talked about, and it was it's a creepy one.
Well, my next one isn't very creepy. It's to me, it's kind of weird. It's called the chupacabra, and it's a cryptid who supposedly drinks the blood of livestock. And it was first reported in 1995 in Puerto Rico, and basically, chupacabra literally means goat sucker. So it basically sucked the life out of goats and livestock. And like I said, I've seen movies like, I don't know, chupacabra doesn't seem a very scary folklore urban legend to me. It's killing animals. What do I care? Kill all the animals you want. I mean, it's like I'm just like, even when I heard of it, and I've seen shows that was about the chupacabra, it doesn't do anything for me. I don't know how about you. Like, it does nothing to me.
It doesn't do anything for me. I feel like, I mean, it may have something similar, or may have or may even exist. I don't like. I don't endow it with, like, I don't think it's endowed with any supernatural powers or anything like that. I feel like it's probably just a really ugly animal that preys on other, and that's just the the animal kingdom. That's how it works. People, bigger things prey on smaller things, all the way up to us. We're animals ourselves, and we like pretty much everything is our prey in this world.
I've always thought it was a wild dog.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, and like I never really thought of it like yeah,
It's an urban legend.
Yeah, it is. It is. That one kind of falls in like the Bigfoot sort of character. The whole cryptid category, I guess, would be it.
Yeah, but see, I get Bigfoot. I can get that. This has a very easy explanation to it. It's a wild dog or a wild animal of something, like you said, just an ugly looking animal.
Mm-hmm.
And some drunk Mexicans or Americans who happen to see it are probably like, oh, look at that,
Yeah.
It's not attacking people. It's not like people aren't saying that, like, oh, it stands on two legs and it gives you the finger and drinks your beer on you and, it pisses in your mouth. It's not saying anything like crazy. It's just a wild animal that basically kills and eats the other animal, essentially.
Yeah.
That's what I picked for my number 2. All right. So you're up.
My final one I'll talk about today is the Hook Man. And I think we've all know some variation of the Hook Man.
Mm-hmm.
We all I Know What You Did Last Summer and all its sequels were partly based in the Hook Man mythology. It's a fairly well-known one. So essentially it's urban legend about a killer who has like a hook, and when I say hook, I mean like you would picture like a pirate hook, that same thing that attacks people in parked cars, usually like a couple up at like Makeout Hill or whatever it's called, Makeout Cliff, whatever they would go in the 50s and 60s, and he attacks them or scares them. In some versions, like the people see him, but he doesn't actually kill them, but there's the hooks hanging from their window when they open the door, or there's a big hook scratch all the way around the car, or it's embedded in the door. There's versions of it, but it all just comes down to that. One of the versions is these kids are up, they're on Makeout Hill, and the radio's on in their car, and all of a sudden a news bulletin comes across the radio saying a mental patient has escaped from the asylum. He is dangerous, has a hook for a hand. The people look out. He's standing there. They freak out. They cover their eyes, whatever. Then he's gone, but then the hooks on the mirror or the hooks in the door or something like that. And there's, like I said, there's other versions, that, they're driving through the woods and they have to stop to use, urinate or whatever. And then he comes up on them and kills them. Some versions, he actually kills them. Other versions, he just scares them. You have I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is, they take it and they kind of, they add to that story that they hit, they ran this guy over and stuff like that. So, yeah. There's a lot of different versions of it. It's believed to started probably in the 50s in the United States is when they think that it was probably the first instance of it.
Well, it was
So,
definitely at least the 50s because my mother told me the story about when she was a kid and they would hear the story. So she was born in 48. So
so yeah, that would make sense.
she knew the story back then.
So, yeah. So you have familiarity with it then?
Oh, yeah.
It's yeah, I like it. It's it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, it's a cool story. And you never know. Like I can envision a reality where a guy grabbed the hook. I can envision him like I know what he did last summer. He worked on Gloucester. He was a fisherman, and to scare the kids from doing stupid stuff the kids do, chasing them with a hook. Well, the kids embellish the story. Next thing you know, this big folklore story comes out, and then you got what you have today. I can see that easily becoming, very easily, because kids do stupid stuff. I can see a guy trying to scare the kids, like, "Hey, get out of here! Don't be doing this stuff around here."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's I was creeped out by it when I was younger, for sure, and I actually liked the first. I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Me too.
I thought that was actually a
very good movie.
A decent movie. Yeah. The sequels, not so much, but the first one I thought it was pretty good. That was right. That came out right around. There was like a resurgence in horror around that time.
It brought horror back. Yep.
It was like they're like, oh wow, horror can be good again.
There was a batch of films that came out in the early 90s that brought horror back into the mainstream.
Yeah.
That was one of them. So my last story is a famous story, which every state has one of these. It's called the redheaded hitchhiker, or depending on what state you're in, the hitchhiker.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I live in Massachusetts, so on Route 44 in the Rehoboth area, I'll call it. It's a little town on 44. People will drive by and see a guy redheaded beard, overalls, scruffy hair, and he'll be walking along looking for a ride. And the story goes that people will pick him up. They try and talk to him. He doesn't say anything. He stands straight ahead, and they drive off, and they drive him down the road, and they look in the rearview mirror. Some people have said he lunges at them and then just utterly vanishes. Other people have said they get creeped out, they pull over, and he's gone already. And other people have said that as they're driving, he starts speaking to them through their radio, saying creepy things to them. And there's, like I said, a lot of different versions of it. I can remember one night, I'm a paranormal investigator, and we have a team in Rhode Island, Massachusetts. And we're coming back from an investigation from Rehoboth, driving down the street. And there was a guy on the side of the road, redhead, wearing overalls at a gas station on 44. Obviously, it was a guy just playing around, obviously. And so we waved up, "Hey, redheaded hitchhiker." He waved back at us, He's playing it up. It was middle of summer, and he was just playing it up, it looked like. But yeah, I've driven down that area. I'm always looking to see if he's there. It'd be cool to pick him up because, man, some people reported it being really, really spooky. Like, literally, they said people have said they had him in the car. He sits in the back seat, stares dead ahead, no facial recognition, no facial response, just sits there and looks straight ahead. And there are times when he lunges at people, he opens his mouth, and he screams and vanishes. Other times he'll turn slowly and look at you and vanishes. It's very creepy. So either way, the redheaded hitchhiker is a creepy, creepy story. And like I said, every state has a hitchhiker of some sort.
Yeah, because I've heard some states it's a woman actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've heard a redheaded woman, but I have heard that in some states. Yeah, I mean, it pops up. You see that, like, God, even in this most recent season of The Stand, I know it's not a direct thing, but it was kind of a homage to it. At one point, one of the characters in it, you see him hitchhiking, and then right. They don't really go anywhere with it too much, but then you see, in the next scene, you just kind of see him sitting they don't stop for him or anything. You see him in the back seat staring at the people with his arm around the guy's kid and stuff. So it's this is a well-known one. It's one of my favorites, though. It's creepy. It's it gives me chills even now just kind of talking about it.
Here in Massachusetts, there are tons of people, especially in that area, that you can talk to who will tell you they've seen them or they've known people supposedly who've given them ride. You hear that all the time, creepy stories from people oh yeah, my aunt, da, 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 da. It's but again, it's an urban legend. Who knows how much of it's true?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's also within the limits of the Bridgewater Triangle?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, because I remember when we discussed the Bridgewater Triangle before.
The original triangle is Abington, Rehoboth, and Freetown.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, Abington, Asana, and Freetown. And I believe Rehoboth's in that.
I thought so because I remember reading about it when we were discussed the Bridgewater Triangle, which the Bridgewater Triangle has become a really hot thing to talk about in the paranormal world right now. I mean, there's the Unsolved Mysteries podcast now, the official podcast of that series. They just had a huge, it might have been a multi-parter on the Bridgewater Triangle. So,
well, it never gets old because there's so much stuff in it. You can do so much stuff. There have been several documentaries that have been made the last few years.
Oh yeah.
I know somebody who's working on a new documentary. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere, but he's looking for stories from the Bridgewater Triangle. So people are always trying to capitalize on mysteries in Massachusetts here. And that's a big one. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more stories you got for us?
No, that was it. Like I said, in the future, we'll definitely take a deeper look into some of these, and
definitely,
because there's some of these get really in depth, and have a lot of stories within them, and
debate how true we think they are, and
exactly. And we just touched on six in 20 minutes here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds. So there's a lot to talk about.
Tons to talk about, most definitely. There's so many urban legends. But make sure you guys tune in. There's no show next week. We're taking a week off. But the following week, that will be, I believe, the 22nd, I believe. And we're going to be doing Ouija board. Talking about the famous Ouija board. And I have a really good story for you. Personal story for that. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Any final words for the people, Tom?
No, just thanks for watching or listening, and tune in.
All right. Yeah, like Tom said, thank you guys for watching the show today. If you're listening on YouTube, like and subscribe. Click that little bell. Share this video with your friends. Comment below. Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you. And if you want to subscribe to our podcast, go to www.podpage.com/The Reaper Paranormal Show. There you can go to our webpage and sign up to our podcast or any different podcatchers. We have episodes on there, all kinds of goodies. So check us out. And thank you for listening. And we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.